This is Matt Lees from VideogamerTV, and today I'm going to show you a bit of Dark Souls on PC, modded up to a beautiful degree. Yeah, that's right, this game is probably my favourite game of all time, and on the PC with a few mods and a few tweaks, it is spectacular. I mean, it's genuinely better looking than most next-gen games. Sorry about that, lads, but it's true. You can take your eyes and shove it up your bum, even though it does look very nice. So I'm just going to show you a little bit at first and show you kind of what it looks like, and then I'm going to go through and tell you how to do this if you've got one of them PCs. So you'll notice there's quite a few mods I've got going on here. I've got some mods that basically improve the lighting and textures. I've got some mods that improve the enemy health bars. You'll notice it's slightly thicker enemy health bar than you usually have in the game because of the fact that basically when you start modding it, especially with high definitions, sometimes those little wafer thin things don't quite cut it. Hello, you cheeky chappy. Let's see if I can kill this guy without in trouble. Chance to be a fine thing. Oh, I'm heavier than usual. But yeah, it's very, very, very easy to mod, which is, in my mind, something that I think a lot of people don't realise, how easy it is to mod some PC games, especially if you're new to PC gaming. I don't say that in a kind of derisive way in the slightest. It's just, oof, he does hit. You know what, I'm going to waste some of my black fire bombs because this isn't a game file I'm likely to continue with. What? Vumph. Missed me, you dickhead. And there we go, this glorious demon dying like the scum that he is. But yeah, I mean, you probably noticed there, the textures on that guy look fantastic. The textures on the armor look fantastic. There's a partial amount of that is down to HD texture packs. I've got to be honest. There are some HD texture packs that you can download as part of the mods. And I'll have a link on screen showing you where you can get all these. And also just a bit of a description towards the end of the video, just telling you exactly which mods I've downloaded. But wow. I mean, this really is something. You know, there's a degree of this is done because of HD mods, and people have kind of retextured parts of the game. But a lot of this is just detail that was originally there and really comes to life on PC. The main mod, of course, I'm using is something called DS Fix, which is basically the kind of the standard mod you're going to need to install before you do anything else, because that basically allows you to make a bunch of overrides to the options that really drastically change the game. First of all, it allows you to change the resolution of the game. And what I'm doing here is, instead of using kind of filters to manually kind of blur the edges, what I've done is I've actually rendered this game at double the resolution. So this is basically 1080p twice. And then scaled down. So obviously upscaling is something which is currently causing a lot of controversy in the console gaming world. Well, in the meantime, on PC, it's quite easy with some games to downscale. And I mean, yeah, hopefully you'll be able to really kind of make them out on YouTube. But you look at that building, you look at the curves of that roof. It is sharp. It is lovely. It's basically almost photographic. Gosh, my word, etc. Even the mountains in the distance kind of have a kind of nice crispy edge to them. Obviously, you've still got a lot of low-res textures here and there, but generally speaking, this game, with a few mods, just looks absolutely stunning. Some of the other mods I've got involved, I've got some... I'm going to skip through this, actually. No, I'll leave it running. I've also got some fauna mods that basically improve the quality of some of the trees. I've got HD mods for the UI, because obviously a lot of the kind of text and on-screen stuff like that wasn't HD in the original port. I've got to be honest, From Software did a pretty bad job of porting across the PC, but it's since been substantially fixed. And actually, a favourite mod of mine that I've added is just an ambient mod that slightly changes the colouring and the contrast in the game. Just brings it out slightly, gives it a bit more kind of, bit more high contrast. It's quite subtle, but it just kind of brings some of the colours out and really brings the world to life. And I like it. But yeah, I'll just jump across so you can have a look, because this is obviously an area which most people are very, very familiar with, and it looks lovely. You know, even stuff like the depth of field, you can really kind of tweak with that, and you can make the blurring kind of happen a lot sooner or a lot further away, or just completely remove it. Personally, I love it. I think it has this kind of beautiful softness, especially with the kind of, in contrast, the sharpness of the characters. And you can see there, actually, when you see that the grass up close, that's part of one of the mods that just generally makes the flora. I think I said fauna earlier. If I did, I do know that's deers. then yeah, just generally makes everything look really, really super duper lovely. And I haven't got one here actually, but another nice simple mod is one of the mods just changes the crosshair for the bow and arrow, which makes the arrows actually hit where you're aiming, which is something that didn't happen in the original game. It was always slightly off to the left or right, I can't remember which. Obviously, another thing you can do with this is you can mod this game so that it runs in 60 frames a second instead of 30 frames a second. I haven't done that for this video because YouTube doesn't support 60 frames per second, so it kind of felt irrelevant. I thought I'd just bump up the resolution, and frankly, I kind of prefer it like that. I mean, running it in 60 frames per second, originally there were a couple of bugs that came about because of that. They've now been mostly ironed out, but still occasionally jutters a bit more. It's clear that the game is running slightly more quickly than it feels comfortable doing so. Another thing that is interesting, and I'm kind of not 100% on this, but I'm fairly sure that even if you unlock the frame rate manually and lock the frame rate through mods, and this is all through DSFix, this is all through a very simple file that I'm going to show you in a minute. If you lock it to 30 frames per second, then areas like Blighttown and areas where you used to have massive problems with slowdown don't seem to be substantially bad to the same degree. Oh, and that's why you don't go to the graveyard first, kids. It is dangerous. Dangerous. Everything is so dangerous. They still chasing me? Don't know. I'm going to leave anyway, just in case. Think I'm safe. But yeah, I'll show you how you can achieve these beautiful shapes and things. Ah, shiny armor. Yeah, they're still chasing me. I can hear them. Yeah, I'm gonna leave. Bye-bye, Mr. Skellington. Bye-bye. I sit down by the fireplace, and then you can naff off. Oh no, it's not working because there's enemies near or something. Anyway, he's gone. Brilliant. Ah, the warmth of the bonfire. So yeah, still a bit of slight slowdown here, but that's because I have got this kind of fairly maxed up, and my PC, whilst pretty decent, is not mega boss. But you know what? If you've just got a new PC, you're going to be able to do crazy things with this, and most importantly of all, it's not difficult. It's really, really easy. So enough of this, I'm going to show you how it's done. Okay, so first things first, you're going to want to be in Steam, right? Because presumably you've installed it on Steam. If you haven't, it's not a problem. I'll get around to that in a second. But generally speaking, what you want to do is just go on to the settings for the game, the properties. And then it's very easy to find. You just go local files and you go browse local files. Now, that's the easiest way to get to the folder where your Dark Souls is. Otherwise, just basically find the root of the folder using your own insidious methods and just go onto the data folder. Now, this is the first thing you're going to need to do, right? Is once you've got this, the first mod you're going to need, and this is really super important. Oh, that's just a web browser, is DSFix. Now, DSFix is super simple. You can download this from Nexus, Dark Souls Nexus, and it's the core of what you need. Super easy to use this. All you got to do is you just literally extract this folder into your data folder. So you'll see I've already got that in there. I've already got DSFix there, DSFix here. I've got all those INIs. You copy and paste it in. That is very, very easy, and you're almost there in terms of the core of what you need here. Next up, what you got to do is you go onto this little number, which is dsfix.ini. And then basically all you've got to do is just switch the settings on. So that's about it. You'll see here, really, I've got this internal rendering resolution, which means that I've got that double. So this is the resolution you output on. This is the resolution that you actually kind of render it at. You can mess around with the anti-aliasing. It does take a bit of back and forth to find settings that just look nice and run beautifully on your machine. I tend to not bother with too much ambient occlusion and all that stuff because I just let the kind of beautiful double rendering make it look nice. Loads of stuff you can toy around with here. But the most important thing is probably coming down here to unlock the frame rate. So you can unlock the frame rate, you can set it up to 60 frames per second. As I say, personally, I like unlocking it and then setting it to 30 because I think it basically handles it better than the game's own engine and causes substantially less kind of slowdown and judder. And then you've got stuff like this, which is nice. enable HUD modifications. This is the important stuff. You've got to look for these things that say enable the modifications. And you just literally take that will have said 0, change it to 1. You can then change loads of other stuff. I think I've actually got a custom mod for my HUD, which means these settings don't do anything. And if you do find that the settings aren't doing anything, that's probably you've got something else overriding it. Not anything to worry about too much, though. This is important, though, texture override options. Don't worry about enabling texture dumping. That's basically if you want to make your own custom textures. And if you enable that, it means that any textures loaded in the game will be dumped into this folder. And then it means you can kind of open them up, play around with them. And then when you've got them, or better in my case, once you've downloaded a pack of texture overrides, all you need to do is set this to 1. And then any folders in dsfix text override will replace the corresponding originals. So all we need to do is go this folder here, which is basically dsfix text override, and this is where your mods go. And you know what? That's pretty much it. All these folders here are part of a HD texture mod, which is extremely easy to find on the net. All you do is you just download it. They're basically just image files, and then they go there. And then as long as you've got the setting right in this document here, as long as you've set this up to override the textures, it will automatically just do it. And actually, an easy way to tell if you do it is when you load up the game. One of the first things you'll see if you uploaded it is the fact that obviously, I'll bring that back up again. In the texture override here, you have the Prepare to Die edition of this image. If I show you this, oh, not in Fireworks. What's wrong with you? All right, that'll do. DSFix enabled. So if you load up the game and it says next to the logo, DSFix enabled, that means that your modding has worked. And that's it. There's no faffing around with any back-end stuff. There's no tricking the system, because the wonderful thing about Steam is it just accepts that you're going to mod stuff and it has no problem with that. As long as you're not doing anything which is breaking the terms of service or just massively screwing things over, it just works. It just works. Another thing I will say, which is really useful to know, is if you are having problems with screen tearing, then you can enable VSync, but the settings below, as it says here, are kind of still in beta with this mod, so I wouldn't recommend it. The best thing to do if you are getting any screen tearing is there is a setting here. I can't remember where it is. There it is. Borderless full screen mode. If you set that, it basically means that it will be windowed but full screen. And for reasons that I'm not technically smart enough to understand, if you do have problems with screen tearing, if you then force it to be windowed but borderless, it will look full screen but actually be windowed, and because of that you won't get any screen tearing. It's literally, it's nonsense to me, but it doesn't matter, it just works. So do that. So yeah, basically editing Dark Souls on PC, modding it, very easy. DSFix is your friend. And there are a bunch of other mods which I would recommend, and I'll put the names of those on the screen right bloody now. And that means that all you got to do is go to the internet. I recommend Dark Souls Nexus, download these files, whack it in. Bob's your uncle. You've got pretty much the ultimate edition of Dark Souls running on your PC, and you've just reminded yourself that Dark Souls was the best game of 2011, 2012, and probably now 2013. So, you know, those next-gen consoles can literally just fuck off for a little while. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Bye!